Back in 1992, when I was 7 years old, Bill Clinton won the general election for president of the United States, beating out George Bush Sr. And my father was thrilled. You see, because up until that point, my father had been an out and proud member of the Republican Party. He was even a selectman for the town of Deerfield, where I grew up. And during that election, he would tell people all the time that he believed in Bill Clinton's fiscal responsibility and his financial plan for the United States so much that for the first time in his life, he was going to break rank and actually support a Democratic candidate. And what do you know? Bill Clinton won. So I thought in my 7-year-old brain, thank God, I can finally stop hearing about old Billy Boy Clinton. Well, about 2 days later, I heard yelling coming from in front of the television. So I ran through the house, got to the TV, and found my dad screaming at an image of Bill Clinton on the news. He was calling him a bum and introducing me to swear words that up until that point I didn't know. And much like you're thinking right now, I thought then, whoa, 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 Dad, you loved Bill Clinton like 2 days ago. What's going on here? And my dad told me something that affected my brain when I think about politics for the entirety of my life up until literally this moment. He said, I loved him when he was my candidate, but now that he's won, he's my employee and everything's different. And look, I got to tell you, my dad was an actual psychopath. And so it's hard to defend good memories or life lessons I have from him. But look, even a broken narcissistic lunatic clock is right twice a day. From that point forward, everything I would think about politics would shoot through that filter. Like 11 years later, when I could finally vote on my own, I would support a candidate on the trail, put the sign in my lawn. I even had a bumper sticker on my car at one point for one candidate, and I would vote for them. But the day they took office, that relationship of unwavering support, me defending them over kitchen tables, was over. It's a wrap, buddy. Now you're my employee, and it's time for you to get to work. But that's not how politics work in the United States in 2024. Since Obama, if you disagree at all with a political candidate, you're immediately seen as the other side of the fence. I experienced it under Obama. The idea that I didn't like that he was going after the internet, that he wanted to make the internet an unsafe place for free speech. Because the second I would say that in mixed company, they would go, oh yeah, and also about the birth certificate. No, I don't agree with you about the birth certificate stuff. I'm just saying that I think his plans for the internet are terrible. But then I would get accused by people of either not supporting the president or of being on the opposite side of history, when all I'm doing is saying this particular policy that this man has is trash and I hate it. And so when I tell people about this stuff, that like I don't support a president after they've entered the White House, people get curious and they ask me like, what does that even look like? How do you support an office? How do you support your country while not supporting the individual unwaveringly anymore? That doesn't make sense to my brain. And so I tell them this very real joke. If you're an old head nerd like me, then you've heard this joke your entire life, but I'll tell you now in case you haven't. No one hates Star Wars quite like Star Wars fans. Seriously, hunt down any Star Wars fan that you know, any friend, family member, whatever, and ask them what's wrong with Star Wars right now, and then lash yourself to the nearest power pole because you're about to get hit with a torrent of crazy. Star Wars fans are so passionate about their favorite franchise that they can tell you exactly every misstep that the company controlling it has taken up until a point in time. They know the key players, individuals like Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy, people you've probably never even heard of, that control how Star Wars is handled in the media. They know every actor who said something dumb on Twitter, every special effects mistake, every broken deal and heart. They know. But guess what? When there's an opening night of a new Star Wars movie, that theater is packed with people who have openly criticized the franchise, even though they're absolutely sure Knights of the Old Republic on film would be an unmitigated success. Or that if only they would just film the Shadows of the Empire, they had the technology to make Luke young, they could do it today. Regardless of what their grievances are, these people still show up and pony up to support the franchise so that it can keep going. And Star Wars fans don't do this because they think the franchise is perfect or even that it's in good hands. They shell out the dough and they support the franchise so that one day maybe the right circumstances will coalesce and they will get the product that they actually want. Star Wars fans show support for their franchise because they love it and they have hope for a better tomorrow. And you know what? I love this arrangement, and I think it would go over like gangbusters in American politics. Imagine for a second if someone supported a political candidate, they bought the hats, they bought the flags, they went to the rallies, and then day one of them taking office, they kick down the doors and say, "Hey, dickhead, time to get to work." Seriously, like, I run the risk of getting bullied online, but tell me in the comment section how that would not build a perfect society. The idea that as voters, we can have our opinions, but then once the person's been elected, now we move away from being voters and become Americans again and start focusing on things that we want to see fixed. What, like, does Donald Trump need my emotional support to get his job done? We just handed him the nuke codes. He better not be that sensitive. You want to do your rallies, you want to sell your hats, go off, Queen. Your boy just won an election and you want to celebrate. I feel that. But like, the day he takes office, can you look me in my computer eyes right now and tell me that everyone's going to go into critical mode? That now he's in office, there's going to be a big wave of people that said, "Hey, great, you made promises to me. It's time for you to keep them." No. That's the problem with American voters today. There is this endless apologizing that takes place for your candidate, as if you have to justify that you voted for them. People vote for their candidates and then feel the need to defend that position until the end of time. What is wrong with voting for a candidate and then A, holding them accountable, while B, treating them like the employee that they are? Star Wars fans have it on lock. They know how this dance works. If your voice diminishes, all of a sudden the franchise gets away from you. Donald Trump made you promises, the biggest of which was that he's going to fix the economy. So if a year goes by and the economy ain't fixed, I don't want to hear any excuses about like, "Oh, well, we're still fixing Biden stuff." No, homie, you said you could fix it. You got my vote. Now it's time to get to work. This is where me and the plot kind of part ways. I don't know where this came from. If this is like a celebrity obsessed culture reckoning with itself because we're voting in celebrities now, or if this is such a bifurcated country, we have such different political ideas on how the way things should run that we feel the need to entrench ourselves in one position regardless of how new information comes up or things change. But things have to change. Here today, I'm telling you, you're not only allowed to go after somebody that you voted for, but you should. It's your civic duty to remind them of why you voted for them in the first place. And as expectations change, yeah, you can ask for new stuff too. Editor Ricky here. I was in the shower thinking about this and potential rebuttals and what people are going to say. And I wanted to add, even if Donald Trump gives you what you want, even if he made promises, you're happy with what he's delivering, like he does fix the economy, you can praise for a second. You can say, "Great, that's exactly what I wanted." But then the attitude really should be on to the next. Take it back to Star Wars fans. Star Wars fans think to themselves, like, they get a good movie or a TV show. It's never, "Well, that's all I wanted. I'm happy with that." Right? It's always, okay, now bring it to this other realm. Now make the action figures better. Now make the whatever. If he actually manages to fix the economy, wouldn't you then want that big brain figuring out Medicare? Wouldn't you want then that big brain figuring out the student loan crisis? And I also thought of the argument of someone saying, well, then if we don't defend them, our candidate, won't the other side take pot shots? To which I say, that is literally the point of our political system. You have two parties, right? It's not perfect. You've got this two-party system. One person wins all the power, and then the opposing side gets to say, see, that doesn't work. See, that doesn't work. That should not be taken as the end of the world, but rather another way of looking at something. You're getting a different perspective. And is it frustrating to hear something you believe in decried on national television? Yeah, but that's kind of the dance that we agreed to, right? Fandom has infected politics, but only in the worst way possible. People are showing up, buying hats, flags, proudly proclaiming their support with your name on their front lawn, but they're not taking the best parts of fandom with them. That we can compartmentalize our affection, that we can support something up until a point and then expect it to get better. You are entitled to not provide support for a candidate that you voted for. And in fact, if you want to see things improve, you should withdraw that support after they win office and pressure them to act in the way they promised. My dad said so.